pocket and the money must run. Yeah, I know it's too important to every better poor man. So tell them bring out my money for me. Tell the hard man I'm looking for me. He not transferred and I'm looking for me. Tell him I want my money, right now. Tell him I need my money, right now. Cause I want to be rich like I live in Dubai. Everybody got to live so nice. Cause you have your money and I have mine. Oh, I want to be rich like I live in Dubai. Everybody got to live so nice. Cause you have your money and I have mine. Oh.
99.9 WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so we are back with another segment of our Activated Mornings program here on WEFM. And as the song said before, tell the admin, I want my money right now. All right, so we are going to be dealing with the case of Creators Alliance. How were so many persons duped? All right, that's the topic that we are focusing on, a topic that read its head on, what was it, Wednesday? On Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday it was. All right. So we are asking the question, and P. John asked the question this morning: should we feel sympathy for those persons who fell victim to this online scam, or what's being alleged as being a scam? All right. So we're just going to delve into it, but we are going to first play a clip with regards to what Creators Alliance was actually about. All right.
Creators Alliance, headquartered in London, is an online income-generating platform which offers individuals the opportunity to earn money by posting videos on their social media profile through an advertising agency with various package options ranging from USD $130 to $1,999. Just as the online platform was growing in popularity, with many St. Lucians attesting to successfully investing money and reaping monthly rewards, dispelling accusations of the platform being a pyramid scheme, the alliance was said to allegedly crash and close the doors on its local operation. That is, according to online accounts by members who reported that WhatsApp groups used to communicate with their account managers had unexpectedly been dissolved.
All right, so we get some information there in terms of what Creators Alliance was all about. All right, and reading an article that appeared on St. Vincent Times, it is saying thousands lose investments in suspected Ponzi scheme. So St. Vincent Times has received credible reports indicating that Vincentians from various sectors, politicians, civil servants, bankers, doctors, police officers, teachers, and the unemployed have suffered significant losses from investments made in a company called Creators Alliance. All right, Creators Alliance presents itself as a platform for video content creation, claiming to offer lucrative returns for individuals who invest in its packages. According to the company's website, it describes itself as the world's leading short video content creation and distribution platform. Information obtained by St. Vincent Times reveals that nearly 15,000 Vincentians are engaged in the program. All right, so reports suggest that individual merchants or individuals called merchants from St. Lucia have been facilitating the payment process, transporting money back and forth between the two islands. All right, so you can read the rest of the article on St. Vincent Times, but if the information as being stated in this article is correct, that close to or nearly 15,000 Vincentians of various walks of life, of various professions, fell victim to this. I do have to ask the question, how is it that so many persons were duped? Right. And P. John's questions of, should we feel sympathy for them? All right, so before I begin, Dianna, what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Initially, I did not really feel any sympathy for the persons because I was thinking, boy, how in this 21st century, how? But I thought about it a little bit more, I read a little bit more, and I think I may have some sympathy for some of the persons. Would I encourage persons? Would I tell people they should have sympathy? That is up to you. Because when you look at, if we're going to, go with the information that we've seen, I believe that it is true. Then when you look at some of the persons that got caught with it, you just really are surprised. As you say, you have to ask the question, how was so many duped? You really are surprised by the people that think would be people who can recognize a scam. People who can recognize a scam. Does that mean that the scam was so? How do I'm looking forward. Was it so well packaged, if to put it like that, that these persons were unable to see through what this thing was? I was a part of a conversation not so long ago where I think either one or two of the ladies in the conversation were in the Creators Alliance, and I remember her bringing the topic up, and some of us were there saying, it doesn't really sound, and then I remember this particular young lady was there, and she's saying, this doesn't really sound right to me, but she was explaining, she said, no, it's such and such, and then she's bringing up this, and then this person was looking at it, and the young lady was saying, nah, it something about it doesn't feel right. I think a few of us were saying it doesn't feel right, but she was just convinced that, it's good. She said, I cash in something or the other. And I think at that point she was waiting for some money. So I don't know how, Roleza, if elderly people, I could understand how elderly people can be caught with some scams. And no, I don't know my future for all, something might catch me in the future. Who knows? I would like to believe I have enough sense to recognize something like this, but I think I have a little bit of sympathy for them, man. But I am just really trying to figure. I really want to sit down with some of these people, especially those high on the who are ranking higher on the list, to ask them how did it manage to escape you?
Okay,
for real. So take okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So hi, Dave. Good morning.
Hello.
Morning.
Yes, I love how you all dealing with these things. Well. Are you dealing with them or bringing them to the fore? Talking about fraud and people who are just fraudsters. We are not, a lot of us are not principled people or decent people, whatever the adjectives are. But sometimes you give that impression, or we want to give that impression that we're this and we're that. Like I heard my friend there, Dianna saying, she's surprised when you hear or know who some of these people are. And that's how our society, I never know St. Vincent de Grenadines to be such a, perfect society in terms of what happens, what we do. They say moon does run till daylight catch 'em, if you understand what I mean. A lot of us who have things in the closet or who are involved in malpractices, we don't want nobody to know. But the unfortunate thing or the shameful thing is when you hold somebody high up, wait a second, on a pedestal up, and you hear what they do, then, it comes like a big shock. Now, I can itemize or I can highlight a lot of people who are easily caught. And I myself have to ask myself, but wait, I think that person they got education, but apparently they have education, but they have no sense. And that's a difference too. They might have education, but they have no damn sense. So anything could happen to you. And who you look up to, they are your biggest imposters, deceivers, call them what you want to call them. But these are things I have, since I am living, I have been taking notice of making. I am not perfect. And sometimes I wonder, I used to ask myself, if I get involved in certain things, how I'm going to feel, how I'm going to look, and how people, you know.
All
But
right.
I guess there are those of us who believe in wrong and those who believe in right. That's the answer. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave. All right. So you had finished your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, is it, well, I was asking how some of these persons who you would not expect to be caught in this, how they managed to get caught. Is it that the scam was so well packaged that they were caught? Or my final thing, were they really so desperate for money that they just figured I may as well go for it? Somebody here is saying some people joined because they saw persons in high society joining, and we assumed they did their investigation and it was legit. And I could get that because if I'm gonna be honest, if I saw somebody in, as we say, in high society and something like that, I'd probably think, okay, well, if you're in there, I guess it's cool, right? Yeah. So that could probably be one of the things as well.
Oh Lord. All right.
Probably.
Go ahead, Adam. All right. So to share my thoughts with this, I was indeed baffled. When I tell y'all, I was so puzzled that people fell for it, and not just people fell for. Okay, go ahead. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Ladies, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Weeks.
Roleza.
Oh, how are you?
What all that disappointment is about?
Say that again.
What all that disappointment is about?
No, it's not this one. No, it's a question. There was a question in my voice. I was like trying to make sure if it was you. How are you?
Mr. Weeks.
Well, I guess you guys, you ladies would recall that this is a topic that is of much concern to me, that I have spoken on, not over the months, but over the years. Because I'm hearing a feedback.
No, we're not hearing it on our end.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Given my own profile as a person living with a disability, I am targeted frequently, very frequently, about with these attempts to scam. They are not online scam. But to get to the point, before I go there, the issue with the purchase of the watermelons, I listened to your conversation carefully, and the aspect of person stealing, farmers stealing from other farmers to sell, and other persons who are not farmers. I didn't get I didn't get the focusing on the thieves in the discussion. And I think this is a fundamental point that we have to say to these persons, that it's wrong to steal. And one of the things I have practiced over the years, not now, and it is unfortunate that I have to do it, but persons who sell on the street, I don't purchase anything from them. I mean, this situation is, you go to somebody's home, somebody's farm to purchase, and you end up with what may have been a stolen item. But I am aware that some, maybe a few of the persons who sell on the street, because I have been a victim of that practice some years ago. And so as a result, to avoid assisting them with that practice, I don't purchase anything on the street. But go back to the point, the online. To me, this thing seemed to have been so pervasive, it's pervaded the society, given the numbers that I'm hearing reported, that it could not have been a simple online scam. There must have been persons in St. Vincent, who are promoting and pushing this thing to become so deep in our society that 15,000 persons out of a population about 100,000, so 15% of the population have been involved in this thing. Who have been pushing it?
Yeah, there seem to have been persons on the ground, but it's just because several persons told me that they were persons tried to recruit them, so there were on the ground persons here in SVG who were pushing it.
Yeah, and this is something that the police and the authorities should seek to get to the bottom of it. And then those who have invested. Oh gosh, man. Where on this earth can you make 300 to 400% profit on an investment over a period of 1 month? You invest whatever the sum is, and in 1 month's time, you are entitled to 3 times what you have invested. Did you not stop to think and wonder where is this money coming from to pay me 3 times what I have invested? And as Dianna said, this thing is so well packaged. I humbly disagree. Just the facts. No matter how you wrap that up, no matter what gift paper you put that in, the facts that are before you can't make it attractive. Where in this world can you spend $100 and in a month's time you get over $300 as your return? And then you are allowed to reinvest that portion and get 3. I can't understand it.
So you see why my introductory thoughts why I was baffled. That's exactly the word. That's exactly the feeling that I had. Completely baffled.
But at the same time, we have to continue to educate our people that they must look back at all the scams that took place in their village, in their communities over the years, because scamming is not new. It is that you're facing it on the internet now, but we had scamming taking place close to where we live. From ever since, there were always persons in our society who would borrow from you with the intention of not paying back. There were always persons who would sell you things and steal it from you to sell again. And we know about these things because we see them happening around us. It's not new, but now it has gone online.
And it's regionally too. It's not just, it's not even just St. Vincent and Grenadines. It's St. Lucia, it's Grenada,
I think the Bahamas.
Bahamas, I think as well. I'm not sure about Dominica. But yeah, it's not even just confined. This particular one, it's not just confined to SVG.
But Roleza, Dianna, we had one before. We had.
Maybe we have short-term memories.
This one was not online. We had the British-American situation. That was not online. People we know, people who we look up to, came to us and said, you can get 8% interest on your investment, when at the time, the banks were given half of 1%. And we fell for it. And we haven't learned from that.
Yep.
I just can't understand it. And we have others since then. You go on the internet and somebody will contact you. They send a friend request to you and immediately they start offering you something. They start offering you to collect your winnings. And you know you did not participate in any game. And you're going to fall for that.
And you had to send money first to collect money.
And that's the thing. So we have to put the blame where the blame is. As Dianna said, these are persons, and I think the caller said, these are persons who are educated. But I agree with the caller that education is not common sense. I hope that as a people, we learn from this. And we learn to protect our hard-earned money and know that your wealth in most instances would only increase if you work as harder than you gain that initial wealth to increase on it. You have to invest your wealth wisely, carefully, but you have to work hard with it. That's the only way. Those people who we see own supermarkets in our country and we think that they're rich, will never like it's hard work. It's hard work. They themselves work hard and people work hard for them.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that is going to take us out of the poverty that we're in. Those who want to live beyond poverty.
All right.
Thank you for putting up with me.
Thanks, Mr. Weeks. Happy to hear from you. All right. So yeah, just to give a bit of my commentary on this. So yes, as Mr. Weeks is saying, yes, I am baffled. I actually did not hear about this Creators Alliance before Wednesday. I suppose anyway, people probably know I would be questioning too many things to even approach me to ask me certain questions. But nonetheless, right? I suppose coming out of it, it's a learning lesson, it's a teaching lesson for all of us, right? But I really do wish that when people approach us with things that we stop and we question, right? You have to know how to be able to question your friends. I remember a few years ago, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine who was trying to get me to take part in, well, it would have been a scheme anyway, a scheme. And I was telling him something he was saying, all you need to do is just sign up for this. And for him, he would get money because he is recruiting me. I said, listen to me. Who is going to give you money for doing nothing? All you are getting money for is recruiting persons. You are getting money from, you're not selling a product, you are not selling a service. And I think at the end of that conversation, the person was highly annoyed with me. And I too was just highly annoyed with the person for being so gullible, right? Because it's not possible for you to just be there looking at videos and you getting paid for that. From the time you have to hear of any sort of opportunity, and I'm using opportunity in single inverted commas, any sort of opportunity that is asking you to refer a friend right off the bat, that is not an investment. That is stealing your money, right? Another thing as well, too, is that I think what also happened in this situation is that persons who got in early. All right, so we have somebody calling. I'll finish my thoughts after. Hi, caller. Good morning. Oh, persons who got in early, they made it attractive to the other person. So persons sort of if they had questions, they let down their guard. And this is exactly what a pyramid scheme does, right? They let down their guard because the persons who got in early got the money from persons who were just coming in. So those persons who are just coming in, seeing that persons have been paid, will think, okay, this is safe. You know, you got this amount of money. I am also going to get it, right? Another question that stems from it for me is, I often wonder with these type of schemes. If somebody stands up by the road and says, come get some free money, would you go and take it? If somebody stands up and says that they're giving out an envelope with free money, would they take it? Is that people don't question, number one, where the money came from, or if this money is even legitimate. In a sense, if it's physical money, that you're not going to question whether it's counterfeit money, etc. So even with something as simple as whether it's a physical money that's being distributed and dispersed, wouldn't we stop and question that? So if we are going to stop and question that, then why don't we question these type of quote unquote opportunities? I think another thing that it does for me, that I have to question, is it a case where there are many Vincentians out there who are either, well, you know what, I was going to say like the politicians and lawyers, we could probably exclude them because, you know, they're making enough money or they're making money, but the reality of the situation is the higher your salary, the more expenses you take on. So maybe all of us suck and salt the same way, right? But is it a case where for some individuals that they do need to have this second income, and in them looking at these opportunities, that it's where it is that they're going to get easy money as a second income, as opposed to maybe trying to find a second job here in SVG. Now, we do recognize that finding a second job in SVG is not always the easiest of things, unless you are going to go into self-employment, unless you are going to outsource your skills and your services. So is it also a case where we have to maybe address the whole situation of persons maybe not being as financially independent as they would like to be? Yes, we can say it could have been greed, but is it a case where some persons were hoping for this opportunity, again, single inverted commas, for this opportunity to just try to help to make ends meet? Do I have sympathy for these persons? I don't know, because I really would like for us to just stop and question everything. Your friend come to you, your mother come to you, your father come to you, your boss come to you. Stop and question things. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's one of my mottos. If it is in life, everything in general, if it is too good to be true, it is. I always keep that in my head. Always.
Yeah, so persons, I can be sympathetic in a sense where you have lost money that you're probably not going to get back. But again, I think because so many persons have been impacted by this, if these numbers are correct as stated in the article, because you have so many persons impacted by this, what it also means, as Mr. Weeks was saying, that we need to do an additional push. I know before the FIU, you would have these publications in the newspapers, etc., about how to identify these scams, etc. So maybe there needs to be an added push, maybe by the FIU, by the police, but it has to be a case where it is one of those type of messaging that hits us directly in our faces, right? So it has to be like a sort of blast that goes out, a message sent to your phone through text message, social media campaigns, ads on the radio, etc. Because if 15,000 persons in SVG were affected, we have to do that educational push. All right.
I guess it shows one of the things that, well, at least some people are saying this. One of the things you could probably look at from this situation is that a lot of people are really desperate for some money. So,
But that's my whole thing. Is it always desperate for money, or is it greed?
Well, because greed would come in. Because greed would definitely be one of it.
If I have the opportunity, if I have an ability to use my skills to do something else, go and use your skills to do something else.
Well, maybe they didn't have that skill. Not saying I feel sorry for them, like that, but I'm just saying I feel like it shows that things really rough for many people. And I know that things are really rough for many people. That actually is a reality. I don't even need to say that's my opinion. That's a fact.
All right, so let's do it, Joshua, because we need to head on to this segment soon, and I have to play something else before we go. So, Joshua, you have 50 seconds, please.
Shucks. Whatever your name is.
Roleza and Dianna.
I wish folks would listen more to Mr. Weeks. He makes a lot of sense. You, for example, you do not have a rich relative that died in Ghana or someplace. You got some free money, you won a contest that you didn't enter, and you want to go and invest in that. You deserve to be burnt. I have no sympathy at all for you, because you also been very devious, dishonest, and you pay for your dishonesty. Folks tell you win millions in gold, but you got to send $200 or $20 to process it. What nonsense is that? Anybody who falls for that, and education has nothing to do with it, it's simply a matter of calling a spade a spade. And again, Mr. Weeks, I don't know you personally, but it's nice seeing you, and continue to give those valuable tips, because we need that. And I have no sympathy for anybody at all. If you get kicked by a donkey one time and you want to stand up behind the donkey again and hit the donkey, you deserve whatever you get. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Joshua. Thanks.
You see that point that Joshua made there? Those kind of scams. Now, I'm not fully sympathetic with all the persons that got caught with this Creators Alliance thing, right? But you see those kind of scams where you're not enter no competition and somebody tell you win and you believe it. And then there's one where people say, oh, you win something, but send money. I have no, I know for a fact with a clear mind, I have absolutely no sympathy for persons who fall prey to those things. And even recently, I am in this big old age, I'm seeing people sending things to me with you want a supermarket, something or the other, click on this thing. And I would ask people, like, in this day and age, beg you would believe this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So those kind of scams, yeah, I know for a fact, absolutely no sympathy. You deserve that.
All right, so let's read this comment before I play the clip and then we head on out.
Somebody said, I totally agree with Mr. Weeks. A well-qualified friend of mine tried to get me involved in this scam, although I sent clippings of information that labeled it as a Ponzi scheme. That person still continued to try to convince me otherwise. I believe the fact that my friend and others profited largely in the beginning was the driving force in getting others involved. However, unfortunately, many did not stop to think where the fast money is coming from.
Amen. All right, so way to educate persons, because it's entertainment and education on this program. We are just going to play a clip here to remind persons or inform persons of what Ponzi and pyramid schemes are about. All right, it's a very short clip, so let's go ahead.
As the name suggests, a pyramid scheme is an investment scam which revolves around current investors receiving money by recruiting new members. The new members will receive money by recruiting other people, and so on. Let's assume Peter starts a pyramid scheme where the cost of being a member is $100 per month. He promises to pay people $90 monthly for each person they get to join and keeps $10. Paul and George pay Peter directly and join. Therefore, Peter now makes $200 per month. Paul then invites Rachel and Sarah, whereas George invites Bill and Jim. Peter now makes $240 per month, whereas Paul and George make $180 monthly, but are left with $80 after paying their $100 fee. The 4 newest members, however, aren't making any money and have to pay $100 monthly. If they don't manage to get new people to join, they'll quit. This means Paul and George won't make money anymore, so they'll quit too if they don't get new members, making the pyramid scheme collapse. A Ponzi scheme, on the other hand, also relies on new money coming in to pay existing investors, but with one exception. The investors don't know this. They're being lied to and think it's a legitimate investment. This is what Bernie Madoff got away with for decades. He convinced people he generated returns by trading, when in fact, he was simply using money from new members to pay existing ones.
All right, so we hope that that helps to remind persons of what pyramid and Ponzi schemes look like, right? And with that, we are heading on out of this segment at this time.
Nothing else sounds